Hello there. Welcome to my campfire. My name is Seraphine, the Midnight Bard, and I travel from place to place, seeking the strange, the bizarre, and the unexplained. Life is strange, so they say. We are born into a dangerous and hostile world as completely defenseless. It is a long road to self-reliance, and the entire time, a child must trust in the benevolence and kindness of guardians and progenitors. Their wisdom, passed on through time, eventually gives one the ability to survive this strange planet on their own. It is a line of wisdom that pushes ever forward, forever traveling along the line of time into the future. Some say that time is an illusion, however, and that all things that have been, are, and will be, are not bound to our linear idea of time. But if such is the case, then where does anything begin? Where does anything end? In the dark of a strange night, a young man found himself leaning on his father's wisdom as he was faced with those very questions. In a rush of emotion and confusion, he made sure to remember to loop and hook.
No, you've got to loop and hook,
My father growled at me.
You've got to learn this.
I glanced at my mother, but got nothing.
Your mom ain't going to help you. Prepare yourself,
he said, winding up.
His fist slammed into me again.
That was how it was between us. I guess my dad was some kind of hero. He'd saved my mother when she was pregnant with me. I'd been told the story so often I felt like I'd lived it myself. Why does he do this? I asked my mom one day at the kitchen table. She sighed and looked into my eyes.
You have to understand that he loves you more than you know right now. One day you will.
There was something so authentic about how she said it that it was impossible to disbelieve. Their care for one another was unique. My dad slept on the couch. It was short and his feet would hang over the edge. Couldn't figure out why, but my mom didn't seem displeased with this arrangement. They seemed more like friends. When I got older, I gave him a harder time. You see, he only ever pulled this one move. Over and over again, he'd punch with his right. I'd duck it, then put everything I had into a right hook. He only wanted me to learn this move for some reason. But I can say one thing. I got good at it. The last time we did this, I drilled him. He crumpled to the floor and I could tell I'd broken his cheek. "We're done," he croaked out. Man, I must have been about 17 at that time. My father took off after that. I never saw him again. This made me crazy angry. What made me even more was that my mom didn't seem to care much.
Things happen for a reason,
she'd say, looking at me smiling.
Don't worry, son. We'll be together again soon.
That was about a year ago. The other night, I went out walking. It was nice, warm, with a mild breeze coming down Main Street. But then, like a camera, something clicked and the wind stopped. The cars looked like they were from 20 years ago. I heard a scream close to home, and I rushed to find some guy attacking a lady. I pushed him and he wound up just like my dad had done. I ducked, and all the anger at my father leaving and my mother being so considerate about it came down to plunging into this man's face as if it were boneless. He begged me not to hit him again, and I told him to split, which he did.
Thank you so much,
I heard my mother say breathlessly, and I stood there shocked. As I lifted her from the ground, I could see clearly who she was, and that she was young and pregnant.
Come to my home,
she offered.
I've got a couch you can sleep on.
Hampered as she was by the child in her arms, the woman was running less fleetly now. A wave of exultation swept over Goldrun, drowning out the uneasy feeling of guilt at disobeying orders. The instructions were mandatory and concise. No capture must be attempted individually. In the event of sighting of any form of life, the ship must be notified immediately. All small craft must be back at the landing space not later than 1 hour before takeoff. Anyone not so reporting will be presumed lost. Goldrun thought uneasily of the great seas of snow and ice sweeping inexorably towards each other since the Earth had reversed on its axis in the great catastrophe a millennium ago. Now, summer and winter alike brought paralyzing gales and blizzards, heralded by the sleety snow in which the woman's skin-clad feet had left the tracks which led to discovery. His trained anthropologist's mind speculated avidly over the little they had gotten from the younger of the two men nearly a week before. Nearly frozen and half-starved, the older man had succumbed almost at once. The other, in the most primitive sign language, had indicated that, of several humans living in caves to the west, only he and the other had survived to flee some mysterious terror. Goldrun felt a throb of pity for the woman and her child, left behind by the men, no doubt as a hindrance. But what stroke of fortune that there should be left a male and female of the race to carry the seed of Terra to another planet. And what a triumph if he, Goldrun, should be the one to return at the 11th hour with the prize. No need of calling for help. This was no armed party, but the most defenseless being in the universe. A mother burdened with child. Goldrun put on another burst of speed. His previous shouts had served only to spur the woman to greater efforts. Surely there was some magic word that had survived even the centuries of illiteracy, something equivalent to the bread and salt of all illiterate peoples. Cupping his hands to his mouth, he shouted, "Food! Food!" Ahead of him, the woman turned her head, leaped lightly in mid-stride and went on, slowing a little but still running doggedly. Goldrun's pulse leaped. He yelled again, "Food!" The instant that his foot touched the yielding surface of the trap, he knew that he had met defeat. As his body crashed down on the fire-sharpened stakes, he knew too the terror from which the last men of the human race had fled. Above him, the woman looked down, her teeth gleaming wolfishly. She pointed down into the pit, spoke exultantly to the child. "Food," said the last woman on Earth. Thank you for tuning in to this week's story, Campfire Gang. Remember to leave a like and hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you are enjoying my content and would like to help support the channel, please check out my Patreon link in the description, like these honorary bards. Also, be sure to check out the author's links in the description to see more of their work, or to contact them and tell them how much you enjoyed their story. Be safe out there, friends. I look forward to meeting you again by the light of the campfire.